Hello, and welcome to episode 9 of 20 Minutes. I was sitting here, kind of at a loss for what to talk about, but then it came to me as I sat here waiting and contemplating, thinking. Uh, okay. Yeah, so I'll start off by talking about anger, how I'm angry currently, things that trigger me and make me angry, and I could list things. Uh, to start, generally, I get angry when things aren't the way I feel they should be, when they don't align with my goals or what I set out to achieve. So, an easy one. I've gotten angry many times at video games if I lose or fail or you know and I guess what it really boils down to is I'm often angry at myself for not uh yeah, often angry at myself for various reasons. uh it's kind of complicated. uh I've got a few things I'd just like to list that I'm currently angry about and just get it off, uh, express it. So that to help. Yeah. Before I say the stupid things that that trigger me, I'll mention that Terrence McKenna said or talked about anger being such a fleeting feeling, and his advice for how to deal with anger was just to sit with it and examine it, and eventually it would pass quickly. Or like he's like, you can never be angry for too long if you're. I don't remember his exact words, but it was basically that sentiment. Like, spend time meditating on whatever your anger is, and it'll just uh, float on. But I don't know. I guess it has worked, and it's decent advice. But when there's a recurring trigger for that anger, uh, I guess a bit more needs to be done. You got to, uh, or yeah, at that point, it may be necessary to address your reaction to that trigger. So for me, it's a couple things currently, just in my immediate vicinity. The three I have on the top of my head right now are all electronic device problems I have. It's about them not functioning the way I feel they should. So, uh, well, I could think of four, and so the typical solution to all these problems is just throw money at it. Uh, that's part of what makes me even more frustrated at it, because Uh, yeah, there's and it's just the stupidest first world problems too that make me angry. Oh look, there it is. There's one of them. My light that flickers for some unknown reason unknown to me. Likely that will end up burning my house down because it's probably some faulty switch or voltage or I don't know. So, but that's pretty much the only electrical problem. It's like, but the light flickers. That angers me, triggers me, and it's also actually something possibly dangerous. Like, this is not good, whatever's happening right now. Not good. Oh my god, it's still going. Jesus. And it's, I'm gonna fucking lose it. Holy crap. Like, how how fitting that I should have problems with the light. So I just shouldn't even touch that light. Like I shouldn't. I should not even turn it on. I believe. So that problem makes me angry. uh, because I guess the way is like there are avenues for me to address it by myself, which I should pursue. What comes to mind is turning off the breakers and just giving a my layman's examination of the wiring behind that light. I I don't seem to have problems with any other electronic devices flickering or having power problems like that. Like my computer never randomly turns on and off or loses power. Neither do other devices and outlets. But the light's a major fucking trigger for me. Problem. that needs to be solved. And then it's like even more infuriating because light is a practical thing for me to utilize. And then having a problem with like one of those base functions. Irritating. So I'm ranting here and just in anguish. I don't know. Okay, so there's that light problem. One. Um, I've got my keyboard and my mouse, which through years of use develop minor problems, and that's the thing that interconnects these. Is it's like minor things that don't always impair. Like the problem's not so bad; they're unusable. It's just a minor problem that's irritating and causes some functional disruption. Like my mouse will double click, or sometimes, although I think that problem's fixed itself, interestingly enough, developing a double click problem for a while. But yeah, I haven't had a problem with that. Now it's more so a scroll wheel related things that'll sometimes go wrong. Like it sometimes won't register, or sometimes will create like false positive presses. So problems with the mouse, problems with the keyboard. And that's a recent one, like within a month that I've started having problems with the E key, probably because I pressed it the most out of any key. And it's just finally wearing down. But the thing that connects these is I have like, I don't know, I would call it a basic understanding of electronics and how they function. Like I vaguely have an idea of how my keyboard is put together and what I would what processes I would have to go through to correct this issue I'm having. And that's like for each thing, like the flickering light, the mouse, the keyboard. These are all things I could kind of sort of work through myself. I put in all the effort. And then the other thing that angers me is the fan on my graphics card. I It was like too loud. It's a single fan, and I tried to mess with it and created problems. And so the fan like wobbles and makes noise and sort of sensitive to noise. So and it'll be like random rattling, and sometimes it'll get ridiculously loud. And it's this sort of sporadic unpredictability that, that's part of what makes it so triggering to me. Like something that drives me crazy is if there's a fire alarm battery that's low and it beeps. Like the first time it bothered me was like senior year of high school. And it's funnily enough, I noticed it like right after smoking a bit of weed, and I heard a beep. You know, the typical uh, fire alarm battery's low, like the 9-volt battery's low, so it beeps type thing. And I wasn't sure if I was going crazy from smoking pot or what was happening. Then eventually I figured it out. Figured out it was a fire alarm, and then various things that were going through my head, like, oh, did it catch a tiny bit of smoke from the marijuana I'd puffed? And that was like the first time I really had a problem with that. And it's an easy fix, just replace a 9-volt battery. But sometimes you don't have a 9-volt battery at the ready. But that's an easy one. It's just something that it's a similar problem, but much easier to fix than me trying to like replace the E key on my keyboard and like I don't know, whatever connection is getting shorted out to where my E key will type multiple times. Or like properly reseating the fan on my graphics card so it doesn't uh, rattle and make ridiculous noise. See, and I don't know. Yeah, just things all continued, and there'll always be something. That's the irritating part too. It's like even if all those things I just mentioned were perfectly fine and functional, and they're my first world, they're my ridiculous first world problems anyway. It's just like, of course. And if it wasn't that, it would be something else. Or like branches that tap my window or whatever that I need to trim or lop off. There's always a problem that needs addressing. I don't know. It's got to come to terms with that, I guess. I'm just exasperated. Mm. The modern dilemma. And then whenever I record, there's my appearance, and then I get irritated by that because I don't look perfect. Which could be like my thought on resolving this is just like, oh, all you have to do is accept things the way they are, and not as you think they should be. But there's like a paradox there because it would seem to me that you can change the way things are. So if you're resigning yourself to accepting status quo, that can hinder you. And I don't know, you can manipulate reality to uh can manipulate reality. I'm trying to say like to make it the way you want it to be. I'm still just acting like a baby. I'm just angry right now. Maybe I didn't sleep well. I'm just grumpy. But I just gotta keep working at it. Sorry. And I know the videos a bit of a step back in quality probably today. Just honestly I'm feeling triggered. So working on what triggers me, what I can do about it, how to learn CBT, ridiculous, all this stuff. Then I just get angry at people as well, as I've stated before, because I get angry at people, I think, because they're not me, or they don't see things the way I do. And there's not enough time to explain my position and work it out. There's too many people to argue with. And they'll never see things exactly the same because we're different people. So, like, and then of course, just get angry at myself for my flaws and regrets and everything. But currently unable to travel back in time. So you do what you can.